Hey everybody, I'm Pastor Sheryl Brady. I want to welcome you to the Google Hangout. This is the coolest thing. I want to talk to you today about some awesome things, and I have an awesome friend who is Bishop Michael Pitts, and he's joining us today. Bishop, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Pastor Sheryl?
I'm doing so great. When I thought about doing this, I actually thought about how many wonderful conversations that you and Pastor Kathy and my husband have had
Yeah.
sitting up all night long, just talking about God, the kingdom, strategy and purpose. And when I thought about that, there's been so many times that I would say, "Man, I wish so and so was here. I wish so and so was in this conversation. I wish they could
Yeah.
hear all this stuff." And
Yeah.
so that's what we're doing today. I just thought, well, you know what? I'm going to take this conversation to everybody else. And I just, that's why I asked you to be a part because
Well,
I,
I'm so happy to, and
I appreciate you.
I'm so happy to, and I have gleaned so much, and we've talked so many times about the services that we are in are so impactful and great. The Spirit of God is there, but sometimes when you're trying to grow and mature, if you could just be included around a table afterward.
Oh,
And
God.
and some of the times that we have talked together with our families and that have just been so impactful, as you said, sometimes you didn't even know you were getting into a God moment, and then once it happens, you think like, why didn't we have that recorded? Why didn't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I've thought that so many times. And actually, I can only speak for me, but I have gotten so much from around the table, sometimes more from around the table of conversation than even from sitting in the church listening in the pulpit.
yeah,
And I think it's so important because when we're sitting around the table talking, we're realizing that we're all human, and that it's not this whole big old spiritual thing. Am I good enough? Am I whatever? We find out that each other has frailties, and that we have shortcomings, and yet God still loves us, and He still gives us destiny, and He gives us purpose, which, by the way, is what I want to talk about today because I have a new book that's coming out. It's going to be
yeah,
out in October. It's called You Have It in You. And I want to ask you this, Bishop.
yeah.
I guess I know I'm not the typical type person who realized, hey, I'm called to preach, because I was like well in my 30s before I really realized it. And I really found my story in Gideon's story,
Mm,
because Gideon was a coward. As a matter of fact, one of the chapters in the book is called Calling Courage Out of a Coward. And that's what Gideon was. And the Lord came to him, the angel of the Lord spoke to him and said, "No, you're the one that I want. I'm going to do this through you. I'm going to raise you up. I'm going to use you to save the people." And Gideon was like, "Are you kidding me? You cannot be using me." Honest to God, Bishop Pitts, that's exactly how I felt when it finally dawned on me God wanted to use me to preach. And I mean, have you ever went through things like that where you realize, hey, God is calling me to do something, but really it was a surprise to you? Was it ever a surprise to you?
absolutely. First of all, congratulations on this book, and we'll talk more about it. It's going to help a lot of people. But
Thanks.
when you ask the question, has God ever given me something that I thought, could I do this? Or I didn't know that I had it in me. I think, what is there that God has ever asked me to do that I did? I felt that way about everything He's ever asked me to do. And to be honest with you, I think that's a healthier attitude, to be honest.
Man, yes.
Some people that come to everything as if they are qualified. And so many times when you feel like you're qualified, you're not.
Yeah.
And when you feel like you're not qualified, sometimes you are. And earlier in my life, when I began to accept a call to preach, it was to me, you can have all the support of family and friends and everyone, but it's not what others say to you, it's what you say to yourself. And I just didn't believe that I was that capable, and I didn't know that I had it in me. I didn't know that there was a voice in me. I didn't know there was a call in me. I didn't know there was a church in me. I didn't know there were nations in me. I didn't know that I was going to make it through high school. You
Yes,
know?
absolutely.
And though my parents were a support system, and my family and my little church I was going to summer school, for for failing classes and things of that nature. And yet at the same time, I felt like God was calling me to do something great, but I didn't know that I had it in me. And one of the things that I find is that over the years, there are so many things that are in us that we don't even know, because we don't know what all the journey is going to take. And for over the years, when we're building a church, I've had to learn about 501c3 laws,
Yeah.
building codes, zoning codes,
Right.
fire codes. You have to learn, you have to become a child psychiatrist, a budgetary advisor, a family counselor, an interior decorator, a record producer, a songwriter.
Yes.
And it gets to the point that you walk into a church and you're just looking around. You know how much the PA costs. You know how many square footage it is. You know how many parking spots I need. All of those things are things that God brings up in us that we don't even have the capacity to know that we're going to need.
Absolutely.
But
And
some,
one of those other things, Bishop, is that, let me add this to your list. We're hostage negotiators, because every Sunday morning, whenever we stand up in the pulpit, we are speaking the word to people who are bound.
yes,
And that's just one of the many hats that you can add to what we do.
yeah, and preaching really is the easiest thing that I do
Oh, yes, yes.
because it is, I think, the thing that most naturally God created me to do. The other things, the ancillary things, become things that are necessary. But this might be important to someone because there are things that are attached to every portfolio, every destiny, every purpose that seem unrelated to that thing.
Good. That's good. Tell us about that.
Well, many times it's not the talent or the ability that harms a person. It's the things that attracts into your world.
Mm.
A basketball hoop is no different in height when you're in the seventh grade, college level, or pro athlete. But so if you can make a free throw in high school, you can make a free throw in the pros. The problem is all of the other things that being a professional athlete draws into your world:
Mm.
the money, the fame, the attention, all of those things. So a lot of times it's the things that revolve around our gifting, because you and I both know people that are wonderful preachers that are not necessarily great builders.
Right.
And there are people that we will never hear of because their face is not going to be on any kind of screen, but they're faithful, consistent, honorable, godly people who preach the word with integrity. So it's not to diminish any of that, but they haven't developed in people skills, administration, launching out. It's all of the other things that become important as well. And they have it in them. They just don't
Yes.
know it till they get your book. When they get your book, they're going to know they have it in them too.
Absolutely. Let me tell you this. Uh, I was thinking about all those other things. Bishop Jakes preached a message just a few weeks ago entitled dealing with nothing that you've been through is going to go to waste.
Wow.
It's all this stuff. See, this is what somebody needs to hear today, I believe, is that we go through stuff and it seems like it's like so insignificant. Lord, why am I going through this? Why did I have to experience that? And what's all this got to do with the big picture? And I know you will agree with me when I say it has everything to do with the big picture.
Yeah.
Because it's all the stuff that we go through that makes us who we are, that when God does bring us to the kingdom for such a time as this, we have a lot of wind beneath our wings. We have a lot of experience, and I thought about so many times years and years ago the nights that I would lay in the bed and wrestle and cry with God, how am I going to even feed my family? I didn't understand why I was having to go through all that stuff. But now I have the ability to look at somebody that's struggling in that area and say, let me tell you, the same God that brought Sheryl Brady out is going to bring you out. And I can say it with a conviction because I know him to be my provider.
Yeah.
And so it's all the stuff that we go through that's very significant.
Yeah.
And
Trouble, however one defines trouble, should make us humble and broken.
yeah.
I get concerned with people that go through trouble and become harsh and bitter.
Wow.
Because it should have the opposite effect, knowing my own frailties, knowing my own insecurities, because under the anointing, you can seem like you're as bold as a lion and you'll just rip the doors off. And you and I, being preachers, have had on more than one occasion the privilege of encouraging one another of like, no, you did a good job. When you think like, nobody even knows what I was talking about.
That's true.
And sometimes people don't know that wrestling of humanity, wondering, did you do well? Did you make it clear? And all of those things that go with it. But any kind of trouble or things should produce humility in a person where you can identify with other people. And I think it would be interesting maybe for you to take a minute, because Your story is so fascinating. Of course, to those of us who have known you and loved you, but maybe for those that are only saw you as Sheryl Brady, the preacher, on large platforms. But for years, you were a worshiper, still are a worshiper, and that was what you did that people knew about. So how did that feel to you? Because that's a little bit of a different age for God to start like changing your role. You know, you're in your mid 30s or something, and then God starts speaking to you. What did that feel like? I mean, did you know you
Yeah.
had it in you?
No, absolutely not. I'm telling you, it was like, it was such a surprise. And I guess that's why I'm so passionate about this subject, because it was in there the whole time. I didn't know that. And
Yeah.
that makes me want to say to people that are watching us today, or part of this conversation, or that might even just pick up the book, it makes me want to say to them, hey, listen up, because don't think that it's too late, or don't think that it's over. It's not even begun yet.
Yeah.
And it's all that stuff lying within us that's dormant. And I'm gonna tell you something. The thing that woke it up in me was being set up under good ministry,
Yes.
being submitted to the local church.
Yeah.
The local church taught me faithfulness. It
Yeah.
taught me how to sit there and take stuff that my flesh didn't want to take, you know.
Right.
And it all of that stuff was part of the well-rounding. And I'm telling you, Bishop, when God opened the door and pushed me out, it's like he pushed me out into prime time.
I
And
know.
so I'm out there, and I'm like, praise the Lord, put your hands together, give him the best praise that you got. You know why I say all that? Because that's all I heard Bishop Jake say forever. He would
Yeah.
take the mic and say, put your hands together and give God the best praise. Well, that's what I started out saying, because I was like, oh, I was in prime time. And I say that to say that, you know, you are probably more people. I know I'm not just talking about you, but people are really probably, if they'll wait on the timing of the Lord, his
Yes.
timing is perfect. And he'll open a door that will blow you away. He'll reach inside of you, open a gift that you'll be like, wow, God, I never knew that was even there.
I think if we can talk to both ends of the spectrum, you know, when you talk about it's never too late, the largest number of new entrepreneurs in America right now are those that are over 65 years of age. That's the largest
Wow.
group of entrepreneurs. So we talk to them and say it's never too late. Then we have another generation of young people coming up that we have to say it's okay to wait. And
Yeah.
so I think what you're saying is so impacted, because I don't want someone to think this is only a ministry oriented book, because you can have a business in you.
Oh, absolutely.
You can have, you can have, as a husband or a wife, you can have a family in you, and
Yes.
you have a picture of what that is, even though you weren't raised in it, but you
Yeah.
have that in you to do. And I think fathers have to say it's in me to be a good dad. It's in me. I didn't know I had it in me, but my
Yeah.
kids brought it out of me.
But if God gave you that child, it was given to you for a reason.
Yes.
So, listen, our time is almost up, and I'm sad about that, but you're going to have to come back, and we're going to have to keep this conversation going.
Love
But
to.
I just want to say thank you so much. I'm just honored that you would chat with me today, and that we could talk to the world and let them know. I just want to encourage somebody, and I
Yeah.
want them to know, yes, there is a season where God is grooming you, he's growing you, and the Bible says, be anxious for nothing.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you, if you'll wait on God, when he does open that door, he said, I will restore to you the years that the caterpillar, the locust, that the cankerworm has eaten up. Some of them, it feels like, it's taken us it took me a long time to get to the point where I recognize it, because now you got people that are preaching at 20 and 18, and I consider myself to be a little bit of a late bloomer, but I'm telling you, when God gets in it, he will open a door and make up for all of those years. So today, whoever's watching us, I want to leave you with a word of encouragement that says, listen, God is going to restore to you. He's going to stir up that gift that's within you. And I know Bishop Pitts would agree with me when I say, find a local church, get planted, submit yourself to good teaching, and allow God just to breathe on the gift that's inside of you.